Hello. In this tutorial, I'm going to talk about hair, also testing a couple of new things that I've done in terms of the streaming setup. I wasn't getting the best audio, so I now have a noise filter from Nvidia Broadcast that I'm going to try out. Also, a app that basically, I'm not sure if you can see that on the right-hand side, that basically mirrors my iPhone. This is called Lonely Screen AirPlay Receiver. And yeah, for the rest, I'm gonna just dive into the hair. So first of all, if you are gonna work with your hair, you want to make sure that your graphics settings are not on, well, it depends on what machine you have. If you have an average machine, what I have here, I can keep it on high. I set my performance to balance. Gives me the best kind of results in terms of look and speed. Um, and if you are basically temporary kind of working with hair, just like designing a hairstyle, for example, and you're done with it and you want to go back to your performance, you can switch this toggle here that basically disables the visibility of the hair. This is really nice because you have this in your viewport, but when you actually start rendering, this will be rendered. But for now, we're keeping this on because we're going to work with hair. Now, you have to know that there's a couple of different kinds of hair in Replikant. So you have stylized hair, which is basically a library for stylized characters. This is really fast. In fact, I'm going to hit P and you can see my FPS here. So you see I'm getting like, high 90s FPS because it's very fast. In terms of customizing your hair, let's say let's take something that looks okay. Let's say we like this. You have a lot of adjustments here for the hair that can basically kind of, fix it and tweak it. If you're wearing something that's a little bit too big or small, you can kind of adjust a lot of things on the hair here. You see that? Also, if you want to, for example, have a hat, let's say you want to have a hat on this. Let's say I'll take, well, this might be a little bit too much, but a lot of times you can adjust your hair. So let's say I'll make the hat a little bit bigger. Still looks kind of normal for this. But I want to push in the hair. You have controllers for that here. See, I can move that in. I can move that. I can basically kind of adjust that. Now this is quite an extreme kind of hairstyle, which you probably don't want to have with a hat. But let's say if you had something like this one here, for example, this would be pretty well suited for under a hat. So what I can do now here is basically make sure that fits here. There you go. So now I have this hairstyle with my hat, and it looks good. So that's on the adjustment side of the hair. In terms of customization, you have your colors. So I can basically kind of adjust this, as you can see here. And if you want to dive into the expert mode, you have a lot of options in here. I'm going to keep this brief and simple. So this is one type of hair. I'm going to switch the hat off, and you see what's been adjusted to this hairstyle. Now, stylized hair, as I said, is for stylized characters. You can also use regular hair, or in CG, this is called card-based hair. Let's say we have something like this. Now this hair, you see, it takes a little bit of a bit more of a hit, but it's still very fast. Again, I'll show you how to adjust that. Let's say if we wanted to have that hat back on, let's take a different one for now. Let's say we want to have this cap. Again, I would scale up that cap a little bit. let's say we're happy with this. I just got a little bit up there. Now I can kind of scale that perhaps. Actually, yeah, that works. So now I still have a little bit of hair here. Actually, that was too much. You know what I'll do? I'll just move it backwards a little bit. You see? Okay, so with a little bit of, moving these sliders around, you can make something that fits and that works quite well. Hair is actually attached to the character with small little grooms, so little hair strands for every single hair. Now the cool thing about this is you can add simulation to this. So you see, as I'm shaking my head, this hair moves a little bit. Now this hair, I'll give it a different color as well. This hair, there's a lot of customization on here. You can play with that, if you desire. So there's a lot of options, but there's a lot of color presets already set up. But on the I want to show like on the adjustment size what you can do. So basically, enabling simulation will enable this hair to move. But there's a couple of things that you need to pay attention to. I'm first going to show you what you can do with this. So this hair has a negative gravity factor, so it means that it's being pulled down. If I set this to 0, I quite like this effect. It means that the hair basically doesn't have any kind of gravity. You see, if I move my head around. If I would set this to, let's say, 1000, it will have a negative value, and you see that the hair is trying to move upwards. You can get pretty cool kind of effects with this. Let's say if I set this to 10,000, my hair is completely standing up. You can do all sorts of things here with air velocity as well. So, you see I can give this a direction that it's going in. Let's actually do a different direction. You see that it moves into this direction. So if I would say minus 1000, it will move into the other direction. You see, it's almost as if there's a fan there, but it's continuously being pushed. Which, I think you can get some really kind of fun effects with, especially if you have like kind of long and wacky hairstyles. But by default, these hairs are they don't have the simulation on, so you have to switch that on yourself, and then you get that. What you can also do is you have like a control over the groom. So one thing that I end up using quite a bit, let's say I like this one, for example, but I don't want it to be that long. And I don't need, you can put on simulation, but it's a little bit too long. You can make the hair shorter. You can't make it longer, but you can make it shorter. So you have quite a lot of control over these hairstyles. So, I like this one here, for example. I'll make it a little bit shorter. So you have, yeah, you can play with this in many different ways. So yeah, that's what I kind of wanted to show about the hair. So let's test that on another hairstyle. So I have this one here. I'll enable the simulation so you see that it's nice and dropping. Maybe I want to have no gravity. You see that this hair now kind of floats about a lot. Maybe I want to have slightly less gravity, and I'll say minus 250. That still gives the hair kind of nice volume. I'm also going to show how you can adjust the hair. There's a lot of settings here, but I'm going to show how you can basically groom the hair by making it shorter. You can never make hair longer, but you can always make the hair shorter. So particularly with like, kind of hairstyles like this here, for example, I can kind of say, hey, you know what? I want this more to look like a bob. It makes it shorter, as you can see. save for something like this here. This, more volume. Then you see on my, just touching back on your compute, which is here shown here in the frames per second, which you can switch on and off by the hotkey P. You see that this one is here running at 40 frames a second. If I go to like a hairstyle like this, you know, high 60s, and a stylized hairstyle will be like the high 70s or 80s. So whatever hair you pick does indeed have a impact on your performance massively. But that's why when you're done working with your hair, you can just switch this off and you're done with the hair. It's not being rendered. It's not being rendered in the viewport, but when you render your animation, it does indeed render. So yeah, that's that. Working with hair. Hopefully that was useful and give you a bit of an idea on how to control the hair better.